Testing. Before I start, just want to make sure this microphone's working. If you're just joining in, you might want to skip ahead to about the 5-minute mark. I don't know if people are logging on or not, and I haven't been on it forever. So for all those who are normal or used to the church, I apologize for not being logged on. Life has just been a little bit crazy lately, and I do apologize. Hello, Isaac. Hello. I hope you guys can hear me. I just want to make sure. I see the little thing lighting up at the bottom, but I want to make sure that we're good. So if you could just hear me, just type something real fast. Hello, Yasmin. I hope I'm saying that right. Greetings. All right, look, I just want to make sure. Family's doing good. One, can you guys hear me? Okay, good. Thank you, Summer. All right, so I just want to make sure you guys can hear me. Family's doing good. It's just been crazy. I have two little ones. I have a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old and a 12-year-old. And between soccer practice and everything else that's going on, it's just been nuts. So I do apologize. My daughter has soccer games on the weekends and she's in travel soccer, so yeah, that takes up a little bit of time here and there. So I'm gonna get started in a little bit. I'm gonna try to roll through because I do have a lot to say about this whole abortion thing. I do have a little piece of paper because again, I have a lot to say. Normally I just try to roll with the camera and shit, but I'm gonna try to roll through as fast as possible. So if you guys please feel free to comment. I may not see it, I may not respond to it right away. I may not respond to it right away just because, I'm trying to get through all my points. I don't want it to be a super long video, but I hope you guys are comfortable because, yeah, church is back in session and it's going to be a minute tonight. So, um, greetings. I'm gonna start up in about, give me about a minute just to, let people file in, get seated in the church, get comfortable, and then we can roll on. So I hope everybody's doing good. I really do miss you guys. Honestly, this is like I told you guys before. This is like my therapy session for a lot of stuff that's on my mind, and I'm trying to get off. This helps me, and I love, talking back and forth with you guys. It helps me a lot to get stuff off my chest. And also, I love to hear your point of view because sometimes you guys make me think of things that I didn't think of or see it from a different point of view, which is always good. Try to keep communication as open as possible because this is how, the world should be. I have an opinion, you guys have an opinion, we go back and forth, we have a discussion. That's the way it's supposed to be. We don't hate each other. We come back whenever I can get my fat ass back on church, and we have our conversations and we're good. So all right, I'm gonna go ahead and start up. Okay, so I know we all know about the Roe versus Wade thing. They just overturned it. For all the people who are freaking out, let me just explain, as far as I know from all my research, what's really going to happen. Pretty much everything goes back to the states. So now the states are allowed to do whatever they want to do when it comes to abortion. Originally, Roe versus Wade was just like a privacy act, a privacy type thing, and it kind of was stretched, whether you agree with it or disagree with it. It kind of was stretched to include abortion, to say abortion is a constitutional right, which technically it wasn't. Now that is not to say that you know you shouldn't be allowed to have an abortion, that you whatever the case may be. The point of it is that it's not technically a constitutional right. Now you can try to squeeze it in there somehow, some way, to put it under the 14th Amendment or the second or third amendment or the fourth amendment or the first amendment, whatever. But again, it didn't explicitly say, you have a right to an abortion. Okay. So that's what the whole Roe versus Wade was. Pretty much, you just kicked it back to the states. So if you live in places like California, New York, Colorado, places like that, this is not really going to affect you. If you live in like more northern states or states that are extremely, Democratic, or Democratic, this is really not going to affect you. Where it will affect you in some of the southern states. Places like Florida have already started passing laws or have passed laws that say you can't have an abortion up to a certain point. I'm sorry, you can have an abortion up to a certain point. It's like 12 weeks or something along those lines. Texas has passed some law, as far as like the heartbeat bill, I believe, and I may be mistaken. If I am, I apologize, where at a certain point where the baby has a heartbeat, I think it's like 6 weeks, you can't have an abortion past that. And what they do is they pretty much criminalize the doctors for performing in 6 weeks. Okay, perfect. So what they pretty much do, they're not attacking the person who's getting an abortion, they're attacking the doctors who performed the abortion. So technically, like the mother or whatever will not go to jail for having the abortion, but they will go after the doctors who performed it. So that's the kind of laws that are have now. Some states have already made it. Once Roe versus Wade went off the books, they made abortion illegal in their state. Again, we can. I'm going down the list of what's going on. So again, if you live in places like Washington, Colorado, probably Nevada, what else is New York, DC, Maryland, places like that, you should be okay. Those are, it's funny, those are like the main people are freaking out because now all of a sudden everyone cares about the women in Mississippi, which, you know, Mississippi's, I'm sure, is going to have pretty stringent laws when it comes to abortion because they're more of a Southern type thing. So that being said, that's what the rundown is as far as Roe versus Wade and what it means now for us, the courts. Now, one of my biggest gripes with this is this shit should have been handled a long time ago, and I will get to that at the end as far as the solution to what should be the solution to the whole abortion problem, whatever debate. All right, so first and foremost, I'm gonna go in two different orders. There's a pro-life side and there's a pro-abortion side. All right. Both sides have points, but both sides are full of shit at the same time. And I'm gonna just break it down to why I feel that way. All right, so I'm gonna do pro-life first. So if you are pro-life, I'm gonna just, it is what it is. Okay. I have big gripes with pro-life, the pro-life stance. My biggest gripe with the pro-life stance is they feel that like all is in their mind, all babies should be born. All babies should be born no matter what your circumstance, no matter what your situation. If you are pregnant, you should have that baby. All right. And one of my biggest problems with that is one, you don't know everybody's circumstance. Furthermore, which really pisses me off with the pro-life people, is that they feel like once they have the baby, they're done. Okay. So you can have the baby, and then after that, they wash their hands of it. So they're the same people say, you have that baby, you have that baby. You are not allowed to not have the baby. You must have the baby, but as soon as the baby born, I'm not paying for that baby. I'm not paying for your welfare child, and I'm not, don't take my tax dollars to pay for your baby. You should have been responsible, and you take care of your child. That's your child. One of the biggest things they say is, we as a society should not be in the business of killing babies. Well, if that's the case, and that's fine, that's your stance, then we as a society should not be in the business of letting babies starve to death. We as a society should not be in a position where babies are getting a shit education or have no clothes or very little clothes or, don't have toys to play with. If we want to go down this road of, as a society, this is what we need to do for the kids. So yes, fine. If we get rid of abortion, we outlaw abortion, there is no abortion. That means society needs to be on the hook for every child born up until 18. And I'm sorry, I know people say, no, that's bullshit. Don't use my tax dollars to pay. What about the women who have 7 kids and I'm not paying for all her 7 kids? Okay, then again, you're telling people they can't have an abortion. You're telling people they're not allowed to get rid of the child for whatever reason. If you feel like it's bad, if you feel like it's wrong, if you feel like whatever. You feel like they can have an abortion because we as a society should never allow a child to die. Then we as a society should never let a child go hungry. I don't care if the child is 2 months, 2 weeks, 2 years, 12 years old. No child should go hungry in our society if we want to play the society game. So that means every child that's born, society needs to be on the hook till that child turns an adult, which is in the US 18 years old. Because again, if we're going to force people to have children that they may or may not want, then we as a society needs to take care of those children. It kills me how pro-life people are quick to say, you must have the baby, you must have the baby, and then turn around and 20 seconds later after that baby is born, well, good luck. Like they don't give a shit. And it's like, to me, it's like it's fake. It's fake caring. Okay, you're all in it while the baby's in the womb, but as soon as the baby's out, they're done. They wash their hands of it. That's your responsibility now. Like, okay, the biggest responsibility, I'm sorry, is not the child in the womb. The biggest responsibility is when that child is born, and that child needs food, that child needs Pampers, that child needs wipes, that child needs all the shit that children need. ointment, doctor's appointments, all this other stuff. Now, we don't want healthcare. We don't want, most pro-lifers do not want socialized medicine and socialized healthcare. But how many are willing to pay the bill for the baby to be born? I don't see too many pro-lifers ready to fork over half their savings or half their money to make sure all the babies are born. And because no, that's socialism. And we don't like socialism. Socialism is evil. And again, I'm not even arguing it as far as whether it's right or wrong. I am saying in a simple stance of, if we are demanding as a society that every child is born, then we as a society demand that every child is fed, clothed, sheltered, toys, maybe a mini vacation here or there. I know that's a little stretch, but whatever, a proper education, everything. And we as a society should be on the hook to pay for it. And until pro-lifers start saying, fine, take half my check to make sure every child have, money, have everything they need, take half my check, I will do that, then shut the fuck up. I'm sorry. And yes, I love that argument as far as the adoption argument. That's one of, okay. So adoption, we have so many kids already in the system, it's not even funny. There are children that are in the system that can't find a home, can't find a place, can't find a mom or a dad or an uncle or anybody to take care of them. So we just want to keep adding on to this belief or adding on to this system where, we already have thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of children in the foster care system. So the plan is to what? Add more? Again, it's just logically, it just doesn't make sense. Let's take care of the people that we have already in the system before we start adding more to the system. The next thing that it really pisses me off is that, and again, I'm just going, so just hear me out. Where they say, show me in the Bible where, God condemns, God is for abortion. Show me in the Bible, that is not a godly thing to be pro-abortion. All right, I have 2 points on this. One, if you've ever read the Bible, God has killed children tremendously. All right. Through and through. To say God is not against killing kids, it means you have never read the Old Testament in your fucking life. All right. One of his prophets or whatever, some group of kids were teasing him for being bald and being bald-headed, and a bear came out and killed 14 of them. All right. So let's not pretend like God is all of a sudden he's pro-life. Okay. God is not pro-life in the least. And I've done a video on this before. God is not pro-life at all. All right. So let's just clear that up. All right. So he's not pro-life. He is ordered or set idly by in the Bible while children are destroyed. There's another where they're trying to prove how, wise one of the prophets is. I can't remember his name, and I'm sorry. They're trying to prove how wise he is. And one of the stories was there was a huge famine, and 2 women who lived together, they ate one of the ladies' babies, and then the next day they were supposed to eat the other lady's baby, but the baby ran away. What? I'm sorry, are you serious? Like, no. Again, if God is pro-life, he would protect the babies, even in his own book. And I'm sorry, just to be flat out bold and honest, children in this world are raped, tortured, killed, molested, sold. I mean, just all kinds of horrible shit happened to them. And if God has any say so, or God cares anything about any of these kids, he would jump in. And because he does not, then he does not have a say so in this conversation. I'm sorry. All right. You had a Catholic church that was molesting child after child after child after child. And apparently God, who has all the power in the world, sat idly by and did nothing. Okay. So when it comes to abortion, you're out of this conversation. All right. Okay. I'm sorry. God has left the chat. Let's be real. Okay. No, you don't have a say so. I'm sorry. If you have the power to stop these children from being molested or killed or tortured or anything, and you do nothing, you have no say so. Plain and simple. Even further, when I go to as far as the pro-lifers, same exact thing. There was a story where a little boy, I believe it was a little boy, 1 year old, they finally found his body. His parents was torturing him and killing him. Torturing him, I guess, since he's been born. They found burn marks on him, which was consistent with one of those kitchen blow torches, which means they were blowtorching or using a blowtorch to punish their 1-year-old. All right. I'm sorry. At the end of the day, if this is what you're going to do with your child, have an abortion. I know we like to pretend like every child that's born has a wonderful, successful, amazing life, but that's not the fucking case. There are children, literally, who, again, there was another story where a dad threw his toddler or threw his baby out the window, killed him. No, absolutely. Again, if this is what you want to do, if this is what you want to do with your child, if this is your mindset, if your husband or boyfriend left and all of a sudden you just a mean ass woman and you want to treat this child like absolute shit, his or her entire life until they die, then have the abortion. I'm sorry, there are some kids, and it's fucking heartbreaking. There are some kids who are born in this world who will never know or experience love or happiness or joy. All they will experience is fear and pain and torment because the people that he or she was born to are absolute animals. And I'm sorry, if that's what you're going to do, then yes, have the abortion. Yes, you can give me some amazing story about how this one kid who was born and his mom was going to have an abortion, and she didn't have the abortion, and oh my gosh, everything is so amazing now with this one kid. Yes, that's perfect, but there are hundreds and thousands of kids in this world. For fuck's sakes, look at Africa. And again, I'm not stretching. I'm not, but I'm saying, like, look at how some of these people treat their children. And we're saying that it's inhumane. It's inhumane to have an abortion. No. Like, again, if you believe that, okay, if the sole main object is to save the child and help the child to experience life, you are literally damning this child to have the worst life possible. Well, again, they don't know joy. They don't know love. They don't know compassion. All they know is anger and bitterness and fear. Like, they live their entire fucking life in fear until they are killed. Is that what we're signing these kids up for? So I'm sorry, pro-lifers can sleep easy at night because they know they feel more comfortable in their house in, say, they're in their house in Florida, that some woman in California couldn't have an abortion. So I feel so much better with myself, and I feel so much better about my life because this woman couldn't have it. Never mind, this child is about to go through the worst possible fucking experience ever. Doesn't matter because the child is born. And for most pro-lifers, they're done. They wash their hands of the situation. I've done all I could do. I'm finished. All right, let me keep going. The next thing that pro-lifers really don't think about is, obviously, for most states, there is a provision in it where they're saying that for rape or incest, they always have to account for rape or incest. Now, for pro-abortion people, they always bring this up, and being real, majority of the abortions are elective, okay, or yeah, they're elective, okay. I believe it's like 1% or less than 1% of all abortions performed in the U.S. are the case of rape or incest. But this is the kicker. If you make abortion only legal for rape and incest, I promise you, without a doubt, rape cases will go up 2,000%. Because you have chicks who will cry rape because she fucked a guy last night and the guy blocked her number and didn't text her back. Do you really think, really think that a woman wouldn't scream rape if that's the only way she could have an abortion? Like, I'm not even being funny. Do you really think, again, we have women who scream rape because, and I've seen this case where the lady took a guy home, they did what they were going to do. Her roommate comes in the next day and was like, "Oh, you were drunk? That means he raped you." And she filed rape charges. So again, we have women, and I'm not saying all, I'm not saying everyone. We have women who will file rape charges for anything because the guy just pretty much, like, she felt used. The guy just laid with her and he went on about his business. And she's like, "No, that's rape. Oh, my friend said I was raped because I was drunk, even though I jumped on him. Doesn't matter. I was drunk. I was raped." So now we're going to make it so that only women who have only women who can get abortions have to be raped. Okay, where you're going to have shit. I mean, prisons full of people who were accused of, or obviously, I mean, maybe they did it, whatever. But you're going to have prisons. You're going to have prisons full of men charged with rape. They didn't rape it, but they didn't rape the woman. But that was the only way the woman could get an abortion. Are we ready for that? Like, I mean, seriously, are we ready for that? And I know, and this is what pisses me off again about pro-life people, is that they say, well, no, that doesn't matter. Because if she accuses him of rape, and it's found that she's a liar, then, they're going to lock her up and she's going to be punished. First of all, you have to find a judge that's willing to do that. And most judges aren't, because they say, if you accuse a guy of rape and you punish the person who falsely accused them, then it's going to make other women who were actually raped not want to come forward because they could get punished. So you're going to have judges who won't prosecute it. But even more so, even if she gets prosecuted, even if she goes to jail, the baby's still dead. The baby is still gone. The baby, they call it a baby, so the baby is gone. So you didn't save the baby at all. Yeah, you gave her a prison sentence of 5 years, 2 years, whatever she's going to get. And she'll do the same thing again, because in her brain, mathematically, I'd rather do this year in jail than do 18 years of dealing with this asshole who wouldn't call me back the next day. And I know I'm going to have the baby by myself and he's not going to help out and blah, 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 blah. So again, what do? My final one, and for pro-life, and I'm sure I'm going to jump back and forth. Um, the final one, as far as people need to be responsible for themselves. A lot of people say we have birth control. We have birth control. You can get pills. You can get condoms. You can have like the little IUD. We have all these kind of birth controls. There's no reason why a woman should have an abortion with all this stuff. Okay, but let's be real. People are fucking irresponsible. I'm not saying it as a good thing. I'm not saying it is what it is. To act like all of a sudden now you're going to make every single person who's about to have sex think long term, it's fucking moronic, okay? It's not going to happen. It will never happen, all right? If you're in the heat of the moment, the last thing you're thinking about is, I wonder if she gets pregnant. You're thinking other things. And I'm sure everybody who's been in that situation thinks that way. You're in the heat of the moment. You're not thinking about 9 months from now. All right. And that's the point. Like, people are irresponsible. To say that, we need to get rid of abortion because people need to be more responsible is literally the equivalent of saying, I've heard this stupid shit before, we shouldn't have guns because, we should teach people not to steal. We shouldn't have guns because, people need to be responsible and not murder. We don't need, we shouldn't have, abortions. We shouldn't have abortions because of rape, because we just need to teach men not to rape. Get the fuck out of here. All right. You need this safety net. I'm sorry. Cut the shit. You need the safety net, because there will be people who are irresponsible. There will be people who do things. There will be situations where the mother's life is in danger, because the baby, is not going to make it the whole way. The baby, for some reason has a genetic defect, and the baby's going to die in a womb, which could turn poisonous to the mom and kill the mom. You need to have that option. Again, I'm not saying it's everyone. I'm not saying it's all of them. What I'm saying is, if you just solely think that telling people to be responsible is the cure all end all, you're just a fucking idiot. No cut cars about it. You're just an idiot. All right. People are not going to be responsible. People are going to do stupid shit, and babies will be created. Fetuses will be created. Whatever you want to call it, that will happen. All right. So that's the pro-life side. All right. And again, I have more, but I'll stop it right there for right now, because that's the pro-life side. Now I'm gonna go to the pro-abortion side, because these people are just as retarded. All right. And again, I'm not saying I can't say everybody. I'm not saying everybody just for the sake of not being banned. I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of the pro-abortion arguments just do not make sense, because you cannot. The biggest problem with the pro-abortion argument is you're not allowed to question it. Because when you start to question it, you see that the argument breaks down. Their biggest famous argument: my body, my choice. All right. So if it's your body, it's your choice. Okay, fine. Which I always find funny is it only applies to abortion because it doesn't apply to vaccine mandates. And we've covered that shit before because when it comes to vaccine mandates, damn your body and your choice. You do what we say do. But I digress. The one question I have many questions, but the first question I would ever ask a pro abortion person, and I would love to answer is what is it? Okay. Exactly what is it? Is it a fetus or baby? And when does it become a fetus and when does it become a baby? Now, is it a fetus up to 6 weeks? Is it a fetus up to 12 weeks? Is it a fetus up to 18 weeks? When is there a change? When does it become a baby? And the reason this is so important, and the reason I ask this question is because however you define this thing, is if it a fetus or a baby, however you define it, mind you, this is across the law. Okay. It's not just a fetus because you're having an abortion and then it's a baby in other situations. It's either it's a fetus or it's a baby. If you justify, a woman, and some states you can have an abortion up to birth. So 9.5 months. You can have, if you're say you're late and the baby, is the baby didn't come out on a due date. You can have a 10-month-old baby inside your womb that's technically a fetus in some states. And the reason this is important again because it goes across the law. So what happened was in the state of New York, a guy was just convicted of killing a woman and a pregnant woman. Okay. And I'm saying woman because I'm not doing this whole birthing person bullshit. Okay. Sorry. Got convicted of killing a pregnant woman. They charged him for the woman, but couldn't charge him for the fetus because the fetus has no rights in New York because you can have an abortion up until birth in New York. So, right, so what happens is that if you deem this a fetus up until whatever time you make it up to, so if you deem this a fetus up to say 20 weeks, all right? Let's just say for now, we'll just say it's a fetus up to 20 weeks. That means if a guy takes a baseball bat to a pregnant woman who's at 18 weeks, you cannot charge him with killing a baby because it's a fetus. Now, pro-abortion people, do you really want to start this trend and have a fucking onslaught of men beating, killing, whatever, the shit out of pregnant women? Because that's what's going to happen. And you don't have to be fucking Notre Dame, or you don't have to be a wizard. You don't have to be a soothsayer to know what's going to happen. It's going to happen. All right? Because it's happened before. And it will continue to happen. When you say it's a fetus up until whatever time you say it was whatever time it is, then it is a fetus. So no matter what happens to this baby, no matter what happens to this fetus up until that point, no one can be legally held liable for doing anything to this pregnant woman. I mean, you could charge the guy for assaulting a pregnant woman, but a simple assault in some of these states, you be out of jail before she's out of the hospital. So again, what do you want to do? Because again, you're going to pretty much make it an onslaught on every pregnant woman who walks around. And that's why, to me, they will never answer the question as far as the two biggest questions ever. What is it? And when is it? That's a huge deal, again, when it comes to abortion. Because whenever you establish it as a baby, then you are admitting you're killing a baby. So then the whole fetus argument goes out the window. Then the whole my choice, my body, my choice argument goes out the window. So that's why they will never. I have never yet heard one logical answer, one logical, reasonable answer to where it comes to when is it a fetus, when is it a baby. Now, I've heard answers, but like I said, I haven't heard logical answers, because one of the answers that they say is the baby is technically a baby when it's viable. So okay, so what does that mean? When it can live on its own. Okay, so does that mean, again, going back to how pro-lifers look at it, Now, pro-choicers or pro-abortion people look at it this way. Okay, so that means when the baby is born, I can still kill it because the baby can't live on its own at 1 week or at 1 month, or for anybody who's ever had a child at 6 months. Yeah, the baby may be able to turn over, but the baby can't feed itself. The baby can't clothe itself. The baby can't bathe itself. So technically, it's not viable. Shit, you have 30-year-old adults living in their parents' basements who can't take care of them goddamn selves. Can they still have an abortion then? So it's like, I don't understand. Like, again, give me an answer that makes sense. So when the baby is viable, when the baby can support itself, when the baby can take care of itself, okay, so that's maybe, if you're lucky, 5 years old, 4 years old, if your baby is, super advanced. All right. When can a baby take care of itself? Because again, once the baby is born, whether it's by, vaginal or by C-section, or however the baby gets out of the womb, the baby still can't take care of itself. The baby is still not viable. So what do you do? Can you still have an abortion then? Or is it when the baby can breathe on its own? Well, technically, the baby can breathe on its own at like 7 months, 8 months, but we have abortions up until birth now in some states. So are they killing babies or are they killing fetuses? So explain it. And the biggest problem when it comes to pro-abortion people is that they don't have answers. They just have fucking slogans. And it's impossible to have a civilized and an intellectual conversation with anyone who is just shouting slogans at you. My body, my choice. If you're a man, you have no say so or what a woman does with her body. All this other bullshit. Okay. Again, give me answers to questions that are viable questions. When is it a baby? And if it's a baby, okay, then that baby needs to be protected. If it's a fetus, then again, you're honestly, for pro-abortion people, I hate to be just real with you, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Okay, because if you say it's a fetus up until 9.5 months, then again, a guy can take a baseball bat, and I'm not condoning this, and I'm not saying that this should happen, and I'm not saying any of this crazy shit. What I'm saying is, a guy can take a baseball bat to a woman's stomach, beat her in the stomach, she doesn't die, he kills the fetus, and no pro-abortion, pro-choice, my body, my choice bullshit can say anything about the baby dying because technically it's not a baby. And in these states, courts can't even charge them for the murder of a baby because it's not a baby. So again, you're just making it open season on pregnant women. Is that the ultimate goal? Okay, so again, all right, so now it's not, it's up until 6 months, it's up until 4 months, it's up until what, heartbeat, or it's up until brain activity, or it's up until whatever point you want to make it up until, you have to make a point, you have to establish it. You have to. And again, if your line is the baby is a baby when it can take care of itself or when it can, live by itself, then again, that means you're technically saying women can have abortions up until the child is 3 years old because the child cannot take care of himself or herself until at least 4 to 5 years old, where they can maybe make themselves a bowl of cereal or, get cookies or crackers out the cabinet or whatever they can do. So acting like this shit is simple, it's not. And the reason this issue is so complex is because nobody has answers. Everybody has slogans, and it's annoying. God don't want you to have an abortion. Well, then if God didn't want this baby to be born, or God cared about babies, and maybe God would have jumped in before she got pregnant, or maybe stopped her from getting raped, or whatever. There's the other side. Again, pro-abortion people, they feel like, well, I can do whatever I want because it's my body and my choice. And, it's just a clump of cells. I hate that shit. It's a clump of cells. It's a clump of cells. Okay, well, fine. So when a guy pushes a woman down the stairs, she loses her clump of cells. Don't say shit because it's a clump of cells. I mean, it's just a clump of cells. Doesn't really matter. It's not even okay, clump of cells. I've said this before. When a pro-abortion person goes to a woman who has a miscarriage and she is devastated and she is crying her eyes out and she is upset because her in her brain, her baby died, and just say, don't worry about it, it was just a clump of cells, then I will believe it's a clump of cells. But they would never do that shit. Obviously, one, because it's heartless, but two, because to her it was a baby. But we can't live our lives on the feelings where we shouldn't live our lives and make laws on how people feel at that moment. All right. So I gave you the breakdown. Now I can tell you the solution. This is a really simple solution. And let me just tell you how I feel. I feel like you should be able to get an abortion if you want to. It's not my business. I don't know your situation, because at the end of the day, I am not taking care of your child if you have that baby. Don't make me pay for your abortion. Don't make me pay for your food stamps and everything else. That's your life. You live it how you want to live it. That's my personal feeling. You do what you want to do. I am in no moral stance or no high authority to say whether or not a person should or shouldn't have a baby. I'm sorry again. If you are one of these parents who are just going to torture your fucking child for 6 months or 6 weeks, or like there are stories which just drive me up a wall where, they're the dad or the uncle or whoever is molesting the kid, and the kid is so abused that they eventually die. There was a story where this mom put her baby into the bath, it's like it was like 4 years old. Pretty much put him into a hot bath. The bathtub was so hot, and you can Google all these stories. I'm not just making this up. The bathtub was so hot, his skin started melting off. He eventually died from that, and they just threw him in the trash can. All right, bitch, you should have had an abortion, because clearly you didn't want this kid. Clearly you didn't love this kid if you thought it was okay to, boil him. Like, no, absolutely not. So that's my stance. So what I feel like we should do, since everyone cares now that we live in a democracy, because apparently that's the go-to line, we're fighting for democracy. Simple. Put it up to everybody in the country. Have it so where, first of all, let me back that up. First of all, the reason Roe versus Wade is the government's fault is because they could have solved this shit a long fucking time ago. The government the Supreme Court interpreted that law to push it through the system to make, they didn't even interpret a law. They interpreted the Constitution and stretched that shit as much as they possibly could to try to include abortion rights. The Supreme Court's job is to interpret the law, interpret the Constitution, interpret the law as it was written. All right. If you wanted to just make this the easiest thing possible, only thing Congress had to do was to come together and say, okay, we're going to make a law that abortion is legal on a federal level up until whatever amount of weeks you want to make it up to. 12 weeks, 6 weeks, 18 weeks, whatever, 20 weeks, whatever they decided. And if they're too chicken shit to do it, which it seems like they are, if they're too scared to do it, only thing you had to do was leave it up to the people. Have it September 1st, have a national, what's up, Simply? On September 1st, have a date. It's going to be a special vote, a referendum on the ballot. One thing. You're voting on abortion. Yes or no. If it's no, then bow. If it's yes, then you need to pick up to what point. So you could say, should abortions be legal? No or yes. If you took no, then you're done. If you click yes, then you got to determine up to what point. 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever. Or you can write in. If the majority of the Americans vote yes, and then they vote, okay, 12 weeks is the cutoff, then that's the law. Congress takes their ass into session, writes up a law. Abortion is legal per the people. Abortion is legal up until 12 weeks, federal law. Get the shit passed, done. That's all they have to do. Again, if they don't want to do it themselves because they don't want to be on the wrong side, they can, and they say the people voted on it, the people wanted this, we're going to make this law and pass that law just like that. Don't add stupid shit into it, all of a sudden, abortion is legal up to 12 weeks and dreamers get to become citizens. No, because they like to piggyback shit off other laws, and then other people stop voting for it and they don't want to do it and yada, yada, yada. Thank you, Tech. No, just as simple as possible. Make it abortion legal. The people voted 12 weeks, done. Pass it to the Senate, pass it to the House, vice versa, however you want to do it. Get it front of the president, let him sign that shit, and we're done with it. That way, it doesn't matter who's on the Supreme Court. It doesn't matter who gets elected and who's going to tilt the court in what direction, yada, yada, yada. No, the people voted. The law's been signed. The law's been passed. It went through the Congress, went through the president. We're done. Case closed. None of this shit would matter. That is the simplest and easiest way to just go through and just have everything done. You don't have to worry about anything. That will be the easiest thing to do. But, I mean, I've said this long before, and I keep saying it until, Congress is not here. The government is not here to solve problems. The government is here to make sure problems exist so they can keep getting reelected on the same fucking problems they've been promising to fix for 40 goddamn years. All right? That's what they do. So, again, this whole abortion thing, they try to make it simple. It's just, it's either I'm pro baby or pro baby or pro choice. And it's not that fucking simple, because there are people who can understand both sides. Like me, I understand both sides. I get the argument for both sides. I don't agree with the argument for both sides, but I understand it. I really do. And it's not simple as just saying, well, you just want all babies to die. No, none at all. It's not as simple as just saying, I want all babies to die, but I want babies to be tortured and raped and murdered. But again, as far as the pro-life, they're fine with that because we get to lock up the mother or we get to lock up the father, and those fathers go to jail and they pay a price for hurting that child. But you still didn't save the child. I thought that was the whole point of the mission. You didn't save the baby. The baby was just fucking tortured their entire life, and then they die. How does that save the baby? And then the pro-abortion people, again, they abortion up until birth. Until some man pushes a woman down the stairs and it's, oh my God, it's the baby. How could you kill the baby? He needs to be locked up forever because it was a baby. I thought it wasn't a baby. I thought it was a fetus. I thought it was a clump of cells. Pick your poison. Which one do you want? I've always said, I have a car. If I go and crash my Honda Civic, I don't have a Honda Civic, but whatever. If I go and crash my Honda Civic, it's a Honda Civic. I crashed my Honda Civic. I'm fine. If I loan you my car and you crash it, that shit doesn't become a 747 airplane and now you owe me $3 million because how dare you crash my airplane? This shit doesn't work like that. We can't flip. Like, shit doesn't flip and change depending on who does what to it. It is what it is. So, again, the argument is, if you break down the whole arguments of both sides, pretty much what they're saying is, we care, but we don't. We care. We want what we want, damn the consequences. And that's the problem. And part two of my solution is whoever wins. So if it's no, if it's yes. So whoever wins, you give a consolation prize to the other side. So if abortion is legal, so let's say abortion is legal, fine. Abortion is legal up to 12 weeks, barring rape or incest or whatever. But abortion is legal, or barring, mother's life is in danger. Okay, so abortion is legal, but for all the pro-life people, we're going to cut off welfare at a certain point. So at the 6 months, you got to take care of your kid. You're on your own. All right, abortion is legal. If abortion is not legal, then a mother should be able to get mother should be able to get food stamps and welfare until that child is 18. And I mean real food stamps, real money, real everything, to where the child is living a very, very comfortable life. And no, I would say pro-life person should bitch about it. Because again, if your taxes go up to help pay for all these kids, to get them everything they need, that child should never have to worry about school lunch. And again, I'm not talking about just for poor people. Because I know people cook to say, well, we already do that for the welfare people. I'm not talking about just for poor people. I'm talking about for every fucking child. Every child. Whether you're middle class, you're poor, you're rich, whatever. Doesn't fucking matter. As a society, if we're going to make sure all children are born, because as a society, that is our job, then we need to make sure every child has everything, and we need to pay for it as a society. And again, not just poor people. Everyone born, period. Matter of fact, as soon as the baby comes out, they get a check. That's how it should be if we're going to demand all people are born, because it's not just poor people who want abortions. There are people who are, middle class or well off, upper middle class, whatever, that they have the money, but they just are in a mess up situation or whatever. All right, man. That's all I got. So I'm sorry. I was skimming through chat a little bit. I kind of missed all the conversation. So I do apologize. Um, but how's everybody doing? I hope everybody's doing good. It is hot as shit in here. I'm sure y'all see me sweating. If anybody got anything to say, I can hang around for a little bit. Like I say, I just finally got a peace of mind and able to get my therapy out. And I'm gonna try to kick out more videos. I know I keep saying that shit all the time, and I know y'all probably cuss me out like, yeah, right, whatever. But I'm gonna try to do more videos because I got other stuff that I really, really want to do. Abortion, I really wanted to do just because of Roe versus Wade and all that yesterday. But I got other stuff that I really, really want to do, really want to get to. I know I should, right? Duh. But like I said, I really want to do it, and it's good to see you too, man. So I might actually get on tomorrow. I got stuff to do in the morning, but I might get on tomorrow because it's something I really, 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 really have been itching to do, and it's about how the. All right, I'll tease it. I'll tease it so you fuckers can get on tomorrow. Um, that actually might make sense. Um, that actually really might make sense. But it's good to see you, Tori. Um, but I really want to do the strange and very, very uh the very strange and concerning is probably a good word. Similarities between progressives and the KKK. And once you start thinking about it and actually just realizing it, you will see that understand the Democratic Party started the KKK. The Democratic Party was a part of the KKK. That was their baby. That was their thing. They fought against segregate. They fought against ending segregation. They fought against women having a right to vote. They fought against black people having a right to vote. They fought against a lot of shit. And yeah, it seems like they just branded it anew. So instead of it being KKK, they're just progressives. And I'll try to explain it if I can get on tomorrow. I'll try to explain it tomorrow. But once you actually think about it, it's going to be like, yeah, damn, it does sound like they haven't changed their stripes at all. They just changed the wording on how they word shit, but it still all sound the same. Yeah, it really is. So the progressives and the KKK have the exact same beliefs. They just use different words. Exact same beliefs. But that's it. I want to thank y'all so much, honestly, for logging on. I know it's just random as shit when yeah, Tech, I'm gonna be there. So tomorrow, sometime it might be okay. So I probably do it around maybe 2 or 3. I can't make any promises. I promise you, I will try to get on about 2 or 3. Um, oh, you good, Simply Deep. Um, I would try to get around 2 or 3 tomorrow and get this video in because like I've been so far behind, it's been nuts. And this is actually the first weekend. I'm sure you can hear my kids are not home, so I can actually do shit. Um, so I'm gonna try to get it in tomorrow, like I said, around 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Probably bordering 3 because I'm sure I'll be tired. And get it in, get the video. But I really, really, really want to do this video because, like I said, this has been on my mind for a while. So I hope you guys have a good night. I hope I see y'all tomorrow. It should be fun. As always, East Coast time, yes. So it's 11:26 here. So yeah, East Coast time, about 2 or 3 o'clock East Coast time. So it's not really political. I'm trying not to be political as much, and it's just so much shit going on that just draws me in. But okay, whatever. We'll resume this shit tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for listening. As always, this is St. Patrick. I'm out.